Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Miranda Alt with Keller Williams Success Real Estate and the Miranda Alt team. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we're talking about radon. Radon might be something that you've heard about, especially if you've been in the market to buy a home or sell your home. It might be something that is new to you. So today, we're talking with Samantha from RadoVent. Thank you so much for joining me, Samantha.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be able to spread awareness about radon to all of your listeners.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's a really common thing that we talk about all the time. And, people ask me questions all the time, like why, especially my older clients, they'll say, why is radon this thing that we never heard of? So can you tell us a little bit about what radon is and why people should be concerned about it?
Sure, yeah. Radon is a naturally occurring gas. It is underneath the foundation of all of our homes. It comes in or enters our home through cracks in our basement, in our foundation, unsealed sump pits, crawl spaces that are dirt or gravel. We even go as far as sealing concrete crawl spaces with caulks just to ensure that those don't become entry points for radon or don't contribute to the radon entering into the home. So radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers.
Wow.
So second to being smoking. And it takes the lives of about 21,000 people every year.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's very scary because there's so many people who don't know that they're living with radon in their homes every day. And it's completely odorless, colorless, tasteless. So unless you are aware of radon, like your neighbor's buying or selling a house and they go through an inspection and they find out that they should be testing for radon, a lot of times you don't know that you need to test for radon. So it comes through a lot of word of mouth, a lot of sharing awareness, and that's what we're hoping to provide today.
What's so funny is, people who have been in their homes for a long time. So maybe they bought their homes in the 80s or 90s, and they still live in the same home. And now they're selling. And so I go and talk to them and they say, well, what's radon? Why do I even have to do this? Why do I have to do this radon disclosure? And I'm always like, I don't know. It's a newer thing. I think it's kind of BS. Who knows? I think there's a lobby in Congress that is, just wants to sell more radon systems. But you just told me a really interesting fact before we started recording that I did not know. And I found it so interesting. What did you say that so around here, I know, or is it national that 4 picocuries is the standard at which
That's national.
That's
That's the
national. Okay.
EPA national actionable level. So the EPA is
Okay.
going to recommend that you take action if you are at 4.0 picocuries or higher.
And tell me what you told me before we started recording about what that is equivalent to if you're living.
Sure. Yeah. So we referenced your area in McHenry County. The average radon levels in McHenry County are about 4.7 picocuries per liter. That's comparable to 235 chest x-rays or smoking 9.5 cigarettes a day.
That is crazy. So if you are living in a space that has 4.6 picocuries of radon, you might smoke 9 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, that's like a half a pack of cigarettes a day.
Holy cow. Okay. So then my next question is, I know that's the average for McHenry County, because I know just about every house that I sell is going to have a radon issue in their basement. And I know what I typically would tell people, and this is news to me, I swear, that I always said, well, if you don't have a basement, in all likelihood, your radon is not high. And you were like, that's not true. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a very common misconception. A lot of people do believe that if they don't have a basement, they don't have a radon issue. When the fact is that all homes that are touching the soil have a radon issue. So all homes and buildings, I should say, we mitigate commercial buildings, we mitigate schools, churches, office buildings, as well as residential homes and multifamily buildings. So anything that's touching the ground is going to have a radon issue. You'll never know what your radon levels are until you do a test to measure what they are, but they're all going to have an issue. The only time you won't have that type of issue is if you have a home that's built like on a pier off of a waterfront property. Because it's not actually touching the ground.
And then you got other issues to deal with.
Yeah. But having a basement, the rule of thumb is that it basically should dissipate approximately 50% as it raises each level in your home. That's what is believed to be. So if your radon levels are an 8 in your basement, you can expect they're probably about 4 on your first floor, which is still very dangerous for exposure.
Okay.
If you have a home that is over a crawl space, that is an open entry point for radon. So you definitely want to mitigate that as well. Additionally, homes that are on a slab, even homes that have additions that are built on a slab, considered a separate footprint, want to be testing that area so that you know exactly what you're being exposed to, because you don't have that expected 50% dissipation when you're living above a slab. So that's even more
Yeah,
dangerous because you're exposed to that all of the time.
that's crazy. Now I know my parents, the house that I grew up in is very old. It was
Mhm.
built in 1920. And I know a while ago we did get a radon test done in my parents' basement. There's cracks everywhere. I mean, it is an old
Yeah.
basement and it is full of cracks and it leaks and it's, all of the things.
Mhm.
And we did radon tests and it was like 8 picocuries in the basement. We were like, well, but we
Sure.
don't live in the basement, so we don't have to mitigate.
Mhm.
What would you say to that?
Like I mentioned, that was our example. If you used, or if you tested at 8 in your basement, you're probably at 4 in your upper level or your main level of your home. So you're
Which is
still
still
being
not great.
exposed to
Yeah.
that high level of radon every single day. And just because you had a 48-hour test that said it was on average an 8, that means you're sometimes spiking higher than that. You're sometimes going a little under that. You want a system on your home
Okay.
that's going to regulate and keep levels as low as possible all of the time, not just for matters of passing. Like some clients like to say, I passed or I failed my radon test.
Yeah,
So
right. So would you argue that everybody should have a radon mitigation system? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
I think it's very smart. It actually saves a lot of money. I believe on every dollar that you end up spending towards healthcare for lung cancer or lung disease, something that radon may cause, it saves $11 to $20 on the dollar per medical expenses if you just
Yeah.
have a system installed.
Yeah.
And you never know how anybody is going to react to that. We know that some of our family members are more predisposed to certain types of diseases or cancers or
Right.
ailments. So it can take anywhere from 5 to 20 years to affect any given person. So you
Right.
never know if you are somebody who can't fight that type of disease off, if you could have
Until
just
it's
put
too
in
late.
a
Yeah.
system on your home and that could have prevented that for you.
Right. I know when we had our home tested in 2006 and it came back at 3.9 in our basement. And we had said, all right, we can't ask the sellers to put in the radon mitigation because technically it's below the rate needed level. But my husband's like, nah, it's too high. We're going to mitigate anyway. So once we bought the house, we did put in a mitigation system.
Mhm.
It's like 17 years ago, mostly because our children were going to be playing in the basement. And we knew,
Right.
we were like, okay, even at 4, we don't want our kids playing in our basement a lot of the time if it's 4 picocuries. And my kids live in my basement because that's where they play.
And when you think about it, little kids are closer to the ground. So their exposure
Yeah.
level is believed to be a little bit higher than it would be by the time it gets to our breathing level. So with them crawling and playing on the ground, they're directly exposed to that. And we came across this very much during the COVID pandemic, where we
Mhm.
had college students coming home daycares running in basements, offices or workout equipment being in basements. Everybody sort of realized that radon was an issue. And because they were going to spend so
A lot
much
of
time in
time.
the basements, they were like,
Yeah.
okay, now we're going to get this fixed. Before, it maybe was a non-issue to them because they figured they don't spend that much time in the basement. They
Right.
probably didn't have the information that it's still moving upwards and elevating to their main levels, but they thought if it was at least low enough in the basement, then it wasn't an issue for them until this happened and we were all stuck in our homes for 2
Yeah.
years.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Oh, your lights went out.
Yeah, hold on. We're on
There
sensors.
we go. There we go. Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, I have learned so much from this little talk that we've had here. I had no idea, and it's really interesting. And I'm in this industry and I talk about radon all the time, and I still didn't know
Yeah.
these things. So here's my next question. actually have two questions. One of which is, I know it's higher in Northern Illinois than it is other. Are there other parts of the country that do not have radon as much of an issue as we do here?
There's definitely certain elements that contribute, things like the weather and the ground, the soil, what type of moisture they have. But when we look at, like, let's say Livingston County is further south than McHenry, their average is 8.9 picocuries in their homes.
Wow,
So I hate
that's
to
higher.
rationalize by region, but it's just changing on an hourly basis. So you really never know until you actually test your home. So that's our main goal, is getting everybody to test their
Yes.
homes. We have actually just partnered nationally with the American Lung Association, and we are offering the first 200 people who fill out the form that we will link for you and your listeners,
Right.
a free professional radon test. So a free 48-hour test. We'll come out to your home, we'll place the monitors, come back and pick it up and give you the report completely at no charge. It's a $250 to $350 value.
Wow.
And we just want to do this to help spread awareness, especially with our partnership with the American Lung Association, just getting awareness out there. We've been participating in a lot of their fundraising events and just trying to make sure that people know that this is a danger in your homes, and it's really important that you at least know what you should do to get your home tested.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you guys are doing that. And thank you so much for being willing to link that for all of my
Yeah,
viewers.
of course.
I think that is such an important feature. I'm going to make sure that we share that on all of our social media profiles as well, so that we get the word out as much as we can. Because that's just such a phenomenal thing that you guys are doing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
What is the average cost of a radon mitigation system? I know I always tell my clients to ask for a $1,500 credit, and sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less. And I just don't know what are the factors that feed into what the quote is.
There is such a huge range when it comes to cost. So I really hate to put a price label on any given home, just because it kind of sets an expectation. There can be homes that can be done for as little as $1,500. And then there's some that have like 5 or 6 footprints due to additions and indoor pools and things like that, that all have to be treated differently. So it's really hard to put a range on it, but I would say it's no more than any regular household improvement that you do, only this directly contributes to your indoor air quality. So
Okay.
it's so important. It's so life-saving. We actually have a radon risk tool search on our website, which is protectenvironmental.com. And you can basically go onto this tool that we've created, enter in your zip code, your metro area, and it will give you the most recent updates on what the average radon levels are testing in your area.
Okay. And then, getting back to the cost really quickly, 1,500 is on the lower side, you'd say?
I would say that would probably not be accurate for these times. Like we touched on the COVID pandemic a little bit, most of our materials did go up by about 400%. So
Yeah.
we've done our best to keep our pricing as close as possible to what we used to have it at. But there's so many factors like multiple footprints, having a dirt or gravel crawl space, that factor into the pricing, which you've seen recently when we were working together last week.
Yeah.
So there's really so many different attributes that contribute. We do offer free on-site quotes though. So if we even try not to quote too much over the phone, because we do like to really get out there, show you exactly what to expect, give you all the options that are available. There aren't too many add-ons that you can put on. We do offer an add-on like an audible alarm. So if your system ever loses power, you at least have awareness of that. But there's just so many factors that contribute. It's really best for anyone to just give us a call, reach out to us for a free quote. We can usually get somebody out within a week to do a free on-site estimate and let you know exactly what it'll cost for your home. And then we do have a finance program as well. So we do offer a couple different financing options. If it seems like it is out of your budget, then there are other options for that as well.
Yeah, I know when you did ours, the place that was most convenient to send the pipe up over our roof was not where my husband wanted it. It wasn't the most attractive spot. And so he paid extra, we paid extra to have it piped, I don't know, somewhere else that my husband wouldn't be able to see it as often.
Yeah.
So I know there's things like that. The last week was what was really interesting was when I had a client who was getting a radon mitigation quote for a home that's on a crawl space. And I didn't realize that a gravel crawl space has to be sealed prior to, I guess I did, the more I think about it, the more I did know, but I didn't know how much it was going to cost to put a vapor barrier over the crawl space of all the gravel. And that really increased the price for my clients, which was
Right.
alarming and upsetting at first. And then once you explained why they had to do that, I was like, oh, sense. But I didn't know.
And I had spoken to him. I
I
had
had
been
never
speaking
run
with
into
that
it before.
client from the testing process all the way through the quoting process. And I, again, didn't give him any pricing over the phone. He didn't really have any expectations just because
Right.
we didn't have dimensions on the crawl space. So I couldn't even really guesstimate a range for him. I
Yeah.
just told him it would be best to get us out there, let us give him a free quote and go from there. But we have been in talks, and we are going to make sure that he gets done by the end of the week. So
Thank you. I appreciate
yeah.
it. And that was my bad. Always in this industry, we always say there's no two transactions that are exactly the same, and there's not.
Sure.
And I've sold almost 300 homes in my career and just have never run into this before. It's just not been something that I've run into before. So it was a learning experience for me as well. And I mean, you're never
Yeah,
gonna
and we deal with real estate agents so frequently throughout the day, every day during our week, and we hear so many different sides when you're representing the buyer, when you're representing the seller.
Yeah.
We try our best to stay neutral because we just want to put in a system that's going to help whoever lives in the home.
Heck
So even
yeah.
if the sale happens to fall through, the potential seller is still going to be benefiting from this life-saving system.
I know. And it's so funny because we just think of it as like, oh, this is just another thing we got to deal with. It's no big deal. And after talking with you for what, 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, oh man, I'm going at this totally differently moving forward. I mean,
Yeah. And we're
anything-
always here if you have any questions. We've got these great tools on our website.
yeah,
Absolutely. Definitely use us as a resource because we love to help. We're just hoping to spread the awareness and perform great work.
I appreciate you so much, Samantha. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you
Absolutely.
for all of the information and your knowledge. And we will definitely link that free test on this.
I will send all of that over for you.
Excellent. Samantha, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Samantha is with RadoVent. I will connect all of her information in the comments below. So make sure you look for that and reach out to RadoVent for all of your radon questions. I'm Miranda Alt with Keller Williams Success Real Estate and the Miranda Alt team. Thank you again so much for watching. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.